Hi, this is Lancaster Woodturners Weekly Coffee Hour, starting a little bit late this morning because of our annual audio-video team meeting here at the space in New Holland, PA. My name's John Kelsey. I'll be your host this morning, or your moderator this morning. And before we go to what people want to show us out there in Zoomland, we'd like to show you what we have set up here at the club to bring you Zoom. Now, this isn't what I do at home. Well, my setup at home is pretty similar, actually. So, can this camera look in on here over my shoulder here? Now you switch us. Yeah. Now I want to spotlight it. We're just, this is all new stuff. Okay, there. Now you can see my bald head behind Peter Caddick. Look at the camera, Peter. Say hi. There's Peter. And now look at, this is John Wallach working the camera. And you can see we've got 3 screens on here. There's actually 4. There's a laptop over here that's hiding behind the gubbins. Yeah. So this laptop we can bring in pictures on if we're clever, which we aren't usually. And then we got what happened here? Oh, okay, yeah. So we got a control desk here with a gallery view and a speaker view monitor, although they're both spotlighted now, and a little monitor in the middle for the ATEM, and then there's the ATEM, and there's a little sound mixer. And then there's our I'm pointing at the screen rather than at the objects. Yeah. All right. Yeah, there's the ATEM. Peter's pointing to it. And that gives us control over which camera and some audio control. And then there's the sound mixer. And then here's the microphone that I'm bellowing into. And then over there's a computer that actually is running the show this morning. But then so is my phone, which I'm holding in my hand. So there, my phone thinks it's actually running the meeting here this morning. Got it.
I got into Mac in the last 5-10
Oh boy,
years.
this was quite something.
I emulate PC on my Mac.
We experiment and we learn something every time.
We can hear a lot of people in the background.
Okay. How about now?
There, that's better.
No, well, that's the only mic on is the one I'm wearing, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
How is the level on this mic that I'm wearing?
Excellent.
Good.
Okay, so that's down in the low greens. You see, it's not even making any yellow. Let's put it up so it makes a little yellow and see what they say. Is that it? The right mic? Yeah, there now. Okay, how is it now?
That's a little bit hot.
Okay. Now, how's it now?
Not bad.
Better.
Much better.
Okay, so that's yeah. Can you hear the machine sounds in the cabinet shop downstairs?
No, they are gone.
Okay. So.
Done.
All right. So we're all here. So let me just get rid of this. Okay, we're back. Who'd like to show us stuff today? Let's go to you guys and have you entertain us. Unless there's anything else in this. Do you want to see anything else in this meeting room? Point the camera at the back there and see the lathes. Turn that camera around, Bill, and take a look at the shop setup back there. I'm going to spotlight that again just for a minute. We really want you to see what we're doing. Yeah. So you can see now that's the other end of our meeting space. There are 4 lathes back there, plus our big Powermatic up front. Yeah. That's a little jet, I think it is. And then this is what is it anyway? Nova. It's a Nova. It's a nice Nova.
Yeah,
Laguna, yeah. And that's an old jet. That's the bad old jet with the motor in the way. And that's John Di Benedetto pointing at the bandsaw, and the other jet lathe and the drill press. He's probably going to pull the drill press. Yeah. So as you can see, we're pretty well set up here. And then look over here. Look at this stuff over here. Point that camera, and Peter's going to switch. Yeah. Over there on that side of the room, zoom in a little bit more on the shelves. Yeah. We got a set of 3 shelving units there. They're basically stacked up with wood bits, People bring in wood, and they leave it here for members to take away, and we charge them $1 or $2 every time. That's a bag full of N95 masks. People put old tools there. Every damn thing is likely to turn up there. It's sort of a club show and tell exchange here at the meeting space. So, okay. You guys got any questions about any of that? Got any comments about any of that?
Well, I think your setup would benefit tremendously from putting a stream deck in place.
Yeah.
No, seriously though, when you look at all the switching and things that you're trying to do, you can set all that stuff on a stream deck to be a one button push. And so it's a little bit work to get it, but if you got your AV team there, get them to just take a look at a stream deck and see what it can do. Cause you can make all your macros in your ATEM one button push on a stream deck. It simplifies a whole lot of things.
I think our problem is we don't know what all our setups are yet.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. With the stream deck, you can mix and match and do whatever you want, and then you're not worried about oh, we did it this way last time. You can program one button and use it, and then when you want to improve it, you program a different button, and then you try both of them. That's what I use on here. Eh? Like that's what I do here now, and I've been using it for over a year. And every time I need to do something different, I program a new button and try it, but I still have the old ones. It just simplified the whole setup so much.
I've resisted that because I've resisted a mixer. I've resisted a lot of this because it's another point of failure. There's so many.
Exactly. Yeah, but the benefits of having something like this where you've got one button push. Even if it fails, it's just to get another one, plug it in. It's not that big a deal. The programming doesn't change. Anyway, that's my comment.
Would you email that info on that device you're using to the club here or to Peter Caddick so that we can get on it?
I can email it to you, John. So I've got your address. Okay. I can email it, and I can send you what my setup is like. And
I'd like that.
It just simplified things. I mean, for me, it simplified it because I don't have to remember. All I do is plug shit in, and I got my buttons work. And then and if I want to work on something, then I work on it offline. But for me, I've got everything set up. I even named my buttons, so camera 1, camera 2, and I have multiple pages. And for me, it just simplified it. It made it so that when you're doing a production, it's easy. And then if you want to change it, you change it offline in practice. But I mean, that's my 2 cents worth. It worked for me.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take that. We're probably going to try that because, you know, our first thing here was just to be able to get control of it at all. And, you know, I think
absolutely.
We're kind of there. Yeah, I think we're kind of there now. So
yeah, you got really good control. The things you're looking at, that's why my comment is that you've got everything you need right now, but it's just a little confusing on who has to do what. And if you consolidate all of that onto a stream deck, which is really simple, if your AV guys can do just a little bit of macro work, then your stream deck, put it on the table, anybody can push a button, but the AV guys need to support it to build it. But once it's built, it's super simple.
Okay. Well, that's one for the team here. We actually have a team of 8 here in the room, and plus we have a web guy. We don't ordinarily have 8 in the room, but I mean, we've got 3 guys who've just joined our AV team, and 1 guy who's about to graduate off it to become club vice president, and Bowman, who's the wild card from Delaware, I guess, who came up today to help us out with the audio and also brought an interesting new light that we can use at the lathe because we've had an awful problem with a hot spot at the lathe, and this new light, I think, resolves that. So anybody else want to say anything about this or ask anything or tell us any other good advice? Okay. Let's look at what people want to show us. Gerry, what do you have today?
I'd like to share screen.
Go for it.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
It's the smoker is a vicar, and he's carrying an umbrella.
How many pieces?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, about 15. And here's another thing.
What kind of incense do you use in these smokers? What's making the smoke?
Incense makes the smoke. I got it on Amazon. I hate the smell of it, so I don't. Got a whole box of it. I got enough for the whole club.
So
But
it's just little cones of incense then, just
little
incense.
cones, right? About
Yeah.
the size of the chocolate, wrapped up.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you set them alight and let them burn for a while, and then when they smolder, then just drop the main body down over it. There's at the top of the legs, there's a platform, and that with a bottle cap or something like that, something metal to separate the burning thing from wood, and it goes, in this case, straight up and out the mouth.
Cool.
Most of the ones I've made before didn't have a neck. This one has a neck, so he sits a little high.
That doesn't affect the smoke though.
No, there's no place
Okay.
else for it to go. The other thing
Okay,
I want to show you is this. These are stackable, and many years ago, when my brother and sister-in-law came back from England, they brought several of these, and we don't know where ours went. We think son John has it, and maybe a previous relationship took it, so we don't know. And so I replaced it by making this one. He is 15 pieces, and it looked to me like a 2-afternoon job that took about 6 afternoons. It's very tedious. And I didn't want to paint buttons on it, so those are real buttons sunk in there, and that was a mistake because, once you paint the whole thing red, you have to clean the red off of the white. So there's no easy way of doing that. But
I
the
think
hat
you must spend as much time painting as turning on these guys.
Well, I try to paint everything I can on the lathe, and
Okay.
that's true. The eyes are not painted on; they're punched out of some kind of felt and glued on, and the same with the mustache. So there's no real painting there. And as I say, the buttons, that's mostly scraping and not painting. But all the pieces were on. The thing was, this was on the lathe and off the lathe and on the lathe again. It took as long to make this as it did the smoke, which I thought was much more complicated.
So what kind of paint do you use?
Look at the guys in the room.
What sort of paint do you use?
Acrylic. I buy acrylic paint in great big bottles, and cheap, and
Yeah.
acrylic is really strong. Most of the time one coat takes care of it.
Okay, I want to try something here now. We got a camera on Ziegler and Bowman out there. Can you guys ask him a question or talk to him? We want to see how the microphone works and do a little experimenting here again.
Gerry, I was just wondering about nutcrackers. I was thinking about building one myself. And guess who I thought of? I thought of you when I thought about making a nutcracker. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I didn't know if you were or not. We're an experimental case here. So.
Yeah, I do nutcrackers in a way that works for me. That the body is 3 pieces
Right.
laminated plus the jaw, which is separate.
And your arms, do you have crooked arms? Flexed arms?
On the arms, you just cut them at a 45-degree angle, and then switch them around, and then they're bent.
Okay. Is this an actual functional nutcracker? If you lift the handle, it'll open?
Yeah, there's a handle on the back, and I've reinforced it so the jaw won't break. I've run a dowel, across the grain. I run a dowel across the grain and glue it in tight. So,
what wood are you using, Gerry? What wood are you using?
Whatever's on the floor.
I'm a little more sophisticated. I say whatever's in the bin or falling out of the bin because it's full.
Well, it's all hardwoods, but I'm just guessing most of it's going to be cherry or walnut, and every now and maple for base, and maybe an oak for base. But the things that grow around here, that's mostly what I have.
And you're painting it, so it really doesn't matter, right?
Exactly. If you paint it, it doesn't matter. I start to make a head and I say, all I have is walnut. What a shame, but then I'm going to paint it, so it doesn't matter. So,
Hey, Gerry, on the arms and hands, do you use a paper joint and then split it?
yes, sir. That's exactly what I do. When I buy Carter and Son tools, they send some inserts, some charts, and I just cut those charts up and use them for the paper inside, and then take a chisel and break them apart and hold them up against the disc sander, which is really another lathe. The feet that are the same. They're exactly the same because they're two sides of the same turning.
Gerry, do you have a video of you making one of these or not? Did you ever videotape it?
No, it's hard enough to do it, let alone I admire people who do that, but I'll leave that to Mike and others who can do that.
I did send you all a link to the video we took off of Jerry's slideshow a couple of years ago of a whole bunch of these things that he's made, including a fabulous nativity. And I sent you that link this morning along with the invitation down there at the bottom someplace, along with a very short video of Don with his Christmas cracker. So.
Is that the patient?
Background noise.
What's the background noise? What are you hearing?
Somebody.
Oh, it's been over there with the microphone.
It's a microphone coming off of new user. So every time new user speaks, there's a bunch of it sounds like a chair moving around or somebody dragging something across the desk. So I've been watching, and every time new user gets highlighted, that's where the noise comes from.
The new user is one of these guys. I don't know which one of us is new user, but he was actually doing shuffling papers on the table where the microphones are.
That's exactly what it is. Yep.
Okay, so
Does the orange beat the drum?
part of what we're doing here is having our team get more experience switching from thing to thing. So you just got to bear with us a little bit on that too.
Oh, that's great. That's great, John. Kudos to you guys for doing this. This is fantastic because that's the only way you can find out.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can do all the fooling around we want by ourselves, but we don't know anything until we hear back from the Zoom crowd. So, and for anybody who hasn't been here for a long time, that's the only reason our club actually does the Thursday morning coffee hour. Way back at the beginning of the pandemic, we coaxed our members one at a time. You just try it, get your wife to help you get online. And we got them online, and then, okay, now what are we going to do? Well, so we started doing morning coffee hour in order to teach our members to use Zoom and to get our chops up. So today's the day when the dues get paid. We get to work the system, and you guys just have to suffer with us. So thank you for your patience, though. Gerry, have you got more to say? I didn't mean to cut you off. There's a new, we saw him last week, didn't we?
Right, that's right. Right. And no, I don't have anything more to say. I'm just grateful that you allow me to show these.
We think they're fabulous. I think they're just absolutely world class.
Well, thank you, John.
Put a music box down in the bottom so it plays music.
I didn't hear that.
Oh, put a music box in the base of them so it plays music as well.
Yeah, I had a music box and it was in the junk, and every time I'd move something, the music box would play from somewhere. I think I finally found it and threw it away.
Okay, I guess we're back here. Have you got more slides, Gerry?
Nope,
No?
I'm done. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. We got Angelo here. Angelo, what do you got today?
I got a little photo montage of the renovation of my tiny shop.
Go for it.
Share screen.
Yep. We're getting there. We're seeing your desktop.
Yep. So for those of you that have been to my shop, know that I have a big shop in a 12 by 25 single car garage.
We
It's
don't
very
have-
cold and
Get a picture up, will you? We're still seeing only your directory. There we go.
okay, so this is the OneWay 1224 in the big shop. I decided that I would take this lathe up into the tiny shop, but before I did that, I wanted to refinish it and clean it up. So I've cleaned it and repainted it, and now it's in the tiny shop. It's a 20-year-old lathe,
You
so it was
enlarge
pretty
that?
dirty.
Can you go to the top of that? And you might have an. Oh, here we go. I've got it. I can do it. There we go. We're making your picture bigger, and we're learning about that too. Just hang
Okay,
on a
good.
second. Okay, now drag that over to the middle of the screen again, if you would.
Talking to me?
Okay. Yeah, you. We're trying to see it better.
Okay.
Yeah, you should actually, yeah, you do that, zoom to fit. Now I'll get rid of what I was doing. There we go. That's what we want. Okay. Talk to it.
Okay, so here you can see there's a shelf that I built and added on when I built the lathe in the very beginning. The top of the one-way base was kind of narrow, so when I put my turning tools on top of it, they would normally fall off point first into the concrete floor. So I built this little shelf to alleviate that. And it got all sanded down, cleaned up, and trimmed with cherry, and repainted. The paint that I used was Rust-Oleum canvased white, which was a perfect match for the one-way white. And the problem with it was that I could spray an area that I had cleaned, but it would take 24 hours for it to dry. And still working, if I sprayed on a Wednesday, I probably wouldn't get back until Saturday or Sunday. So it took from August to now to get it all squared away. Now, how do I get to the next picture?
It should be a little arrow there. If you move your, okay, you just had them at the bottom of the screen.
I did.
There should be a little arrow. You could try as the right left arrows. There you go.
Okay,
now bring that up to fill the screen again.
So
that's it.
who's ever been to the tiny shop will know that the floor was not adequate for holding a lathe. It was very bouncy. It was very springy. And my first idea was to add another couple of 4x4s underneath to try to stabilize the floor joists. So when I tried to do that, the 4x4s wouldn't go under because the grade changes and there was not enough room at one end. So to dig that, I would have to open the floor and dig a trench for the 4x4s to fit. And once I got it open, then I remembered that Ernie Conover said, well, why don't you just fill it with concrete? So that's what I did. I put about 1,200 pounds of concrete in there to bring that up to support the 2x4 floor joists and the 1/2-inch plywood floor subfloor.
And did that work out?
Well, yeah, it worked out. So here's another view of that. If you can see, the piece of plywood that came out of the hole has little circular holes in it. I wanted to reuse that 1/2-inch piece of plywood, so I took a hole saw and cut a hole around each of the nails rather than try to pull the nails. And once the plywood was out of the way, then I could easily remove the nails with a hammer and a chisel. I'm stumbling here a little bit.
You have to go to the next picture first. There.
So here's
Bring it up again so we can
yeah,
see
yeah.
it. That's it.
So here's the entire floor down. It's been the concrete is underneath the 1/2 inch sheet of plywood, and on top of the 1/2 inch sheet of plywood, I put an additional layer of 3/4 inch. So
So
the floor now is solid,
this is a garden
and
shed that measures what, about 8 by 10?
8 by 10. Yep.
Wow.
So there it is. Everything's cleaned out, and the lathe installed. Everything that was on the floor is now out of the shed, so I could actually hold a little barn dance in there if I wanted.
Have you got a bandsaw in there?
No bandsaw yet. Maybe
Are you
one
gonna-
day.
Okay.
I still have the big shed, so I still have the big bandsaw. So I've redone the tool walls, and I got a little shop vac in there to clean up. I don't have any dust collection yet.
Wait,
Maybe that's
wait, don't bring that back, please. What do you mean you redid the tool walls? What did you do?
well, these racks up here were all raw wood. They were never painted. The base down here was raw plywood. That got painted. All of these shelves got painted. So I wanted everything white in there with the exception of the floor.
And you want those
So-
tools to your left, right, when you're at the lathe?
Yeah, these tools to the left, what I did was I culled out tools that I don't need every day or when I'm able to turn. If I'm turning bolts, I don't need them all. So I put them in a drawer to get them off the wall. If you might notice, I don't know if we can zoom in, but these Thompson handles have a ferrule on top to allow you to switch out a tool from tool to tool. It's a 5/8 inch diameter. So rather than have a tool with a handle for every tool that I have a handle that will take every tool. So up along this wall in a magnet, on a magnet are stored all of the tool steels that I can use and store in a much smaller space than a big wall like this.
Or about.
So I have such a little room in there. I don't have room for a bench, but I do some wood burning and some painting. So I cut up a piece of plywood to fit one of the drawers in the tool caddy, so that I got a little workspace to use.
How much wood you got stored in here?
Not much anymore. You can see that here there's some 2 by 2 by 6 inch blanks. Up around the perimeter of the eaves of the roof is a 12-inch wide shelf, and there's a significant amount of wood stored up in there. But most of the things that were on the floor are gone. They're out in a toolbox. So this is late last week. I was finally able to get to turn. So I made some shavings. The lathe is rock solid. Here you can see the magnetic bar with the tools that fit into the collet chuck on the Thompson handles, and miscellaneous calipers. Here's one of the storage shelves up above the lathe. These are magic tricks that are in the queue to be made, to be turned next. And let's see what we got here. Oh, one thing I did learn about this OneWay lathe is that you think that this green button is go and this red button is stop. Well, before I started to paint it, I tried to turn on it in the big garage, and I found out that the buttons weren't working. So I called OneWay and I said, this is what's happening. I push the green button, nothing happens. I push the red button, nothing happens. So they said you need a new start button. So they sent me a new green button. And I installed that, and it worked for a time, but then it started to act up again. I would push the green button, no, 10, 15, 20 times, it wouldn't start. So I called OneWay again. They said, oh, it must be the red button. I said, well, why is that? He said, well, it's not really a stop button. He said, although your lathe turns off when you press it, it's really an okay to go button. And I said, what? Please explain. And he said, if you press that button and it's defective, it doesn't send a signal to the computer to tell you that the green button is okay to go. So if that's not working, your green button doesn't work. I said, oh, okay, well, send me a new red button. So they sent me a new red button. I installed it, I don't know, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And so far it's been running without flaw. So.
Okay, that's something to know about one-way lathes.
Yeah, there you go.
What I'm interested in is, are you going to try and just be in this one little shop? Or are you going to try and, what's your scheme here? Or are you going to still keep the garage spot that you've got?
I'm keeping the garage spot because it does two things. It houses the 2436. It houses also my bandsaw plus my gigantic wood collection. In addition to that garage, I have two storage lockers that also store wood, tools, and other paraphernalia for the home and for turning. So I'm in the process of cleaning out one of those, and all of that stuff is going into the garage. So the garage is going to stay. I have some very big bowls to turn on the 2436. And once they're done, the 2436 can go, and this will be the only shop because I can heat it in the winter and I can cool it in the summer because it's small. That also means that the work that I'm going to be able to do is small. But that's the price I have to pay. So that's the long-term and the short-term goal.
The question from the room was, what are you going to use to heat it?
What I have are two electric heaters. Neither one of them have an exposed filament or element. They're oil filled, so the element is concealed. So they're like little radiators in the room with no exposed hot wire.
What I would ask you really, when you got two shops going, how much time do you spend wondering where the dingus is that you thought was in this shop, but it's probably in that shop?
Oh, every day.
Yeah.
Whatever I need in the tiny shop is usually in storage or in the big shop. And when I'm down in the big shop, usually what I need is in the tiny shop or storage. So I'm running always between the three. It's I'll be happy when everything gets in one place.
Yeah.
I got a comment on your buttons.
Yeah.
One of the things with those kinds of buttons in a dusty shop, the dust will get in there and actually prevent the switch from going to its home place. So the switch doesn't seem to work. But if you've got an air compressor and just blow around the ring and get rid of that really, really fine dust, you can't even see it, blow it out, and the switch will start working again. That's a common problem with that kind of switch on any kind of lathe. I'm an electrician. I've had that happen on my Vic Mark over the last 10 years. And I worked in Africa where we had really fine dust. And every time there was a push button switch, the fine dust gets in the mechanism and you push the button, and you think the button should work, but inside the dust is holding up the action. And that's all it takes is, especially on a stop button, it just holds it in the wrong place and the computer doesn't know what to do because it's not getting the signal. Blow it out with some compressed air, works like a charm.
Okay, well, if that happens to me again in the next 20 years, I'll give that a shot.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's all it takes, yeah. But I'm glad they gave you new switches.
Any more comments or questions for Angelo? Well, thank you very much for that look. I think it's I face that problem in a number of ways too. I get my stuff spread between two places. I think, oh, these are two wonderful places to work. I'm not really in either one of them.
It's between you and
There, I had to kill a mute. Okay. I'm going to go to Don now. Don Smith.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi, Don.
I just wanted to show you, because John mentioned he put on the email that he sent out to everybody about the crackers. Well, I've just literally come in from the garage to the meeting. I made my cracker. So anybody who hasn't seen it, there we are.
You got to make it go pop.
Yeah, it goes pop.
We ain't hearing no pop. There you go.
Yeah.
Good.
But the other thing I wanted to show you was an ornament.
Wow. Beautiful.
14 inches long. From the finial, shall I call it, is 10 inches long. And that is down to just under 3/16 inch on here, and comes up, and as you can see, to very fine pieces.
You turned that between centers or held in one end?
It was between, it was in the chuck, and before I parted off, this had a piece on which the tailstock came up against, just to hold it whilst I came down. But I started from this end after I'd round it to the dowel. Then I started from this end and slowly moved back, so that I still had weight holding it here whilst turning this smaller piece.
But did you know what it is you were doing there? I mean, did you have a drawing or were you just making shapes?
Just making shapes, and I copied this because there's another one sitting in the other window in the front room with a slightly different top.
Okay, and did you, let's look at the top end. And where'd the Santa come from?
The Santa is a Christmas cake decoration.
Okay.
I didn't make that.
Turn him. You didn't turn him.
No. I had to cheat on that one. But this piece I turned, it took a lot of doing, but it's difficult to explain it, so I won't try. But that's the decoration.
Well, wait a minute. Now, you have to tell us. You turned an oval shape there. How'd you do it?
Well, that's the problem. I did it, and when I'd finished, I thought, how the hell did I manage to do that? The other one, I do know, because the other one is actually split down here. And it was turned in as two bowls and then glued together and sawn off.
Yeah.
But this is all one piece, and I have no idea to this day how I did it. There's just something that happened, and I was rather pleased because it's come
it's
up
a Christmas
very well.
miracle.
A miracle, really.
Elves.
Yeah. And then the last thing, I had somebody come along and said, could I make them some Christmas trees? So, am I highlighted again?
Yeah, I just, you're the speaker view, so everybody will get you. But I'm going to spotlight you also, yeah. You're good.
Couple of little Christmas trees.
Very pretty.
Very, very pretty.
In English yew.
Maybe you could send us over some English yew.
They won't allow it because these have got the bark on if you have a look round the edge.
Oh, yeah, beels. Yeah.
And we can't send wood over to you if it's got bark on. So you wouldn't get the same like landscape type garden, if you like. But that's
questions
it.
Questions for Don?
I assume that it involved a lot of skew work, right? You might have to repeat it. He probably didn't hear me.
Say it again.
Say it again.
Don, I assume those trees involved a lot of skew work.
It was all, yes. That's after you've turned the cone, I marked them off with a 3/16 beading tool,
Ooh.
which gave me the piece across, and then straight in with a skew on the line, and then go in at an angle so that you've got, I can't, can you see that? Where I've gone in at an angle?
Yep.
And then, so that it's slightly undercut on, as you go in, it's undercut.
Yeah.
The beading tool is the secret there, right? It spaces it out for you.
Yeah.
It gives you identical spaces right the way down the piece.
I like it.
And you've only just got to mark it so that the 2 points of the beading tool just mark it as if you was using a pencil, really.
Okay.
But with it, you've got more accuracy than trying to measure it with a ruler and a pencil whilst it's going round.
Any other comments for Don? Okay, I'm going to do a switch here, a technical thing for a second. Turn this mic off, Peter. Mike. Now, did my sound change there? And how much did it?
Yes.
Did it get it better or worse?
Noise in the background.
Worse.
Worse. Okay. It's picking up the room. Yeah.
And also the
sound, yeah. So bring me back then.
Are you making a personal statement about John Boyd?
No, it's just it's. Okay, Toby. Yeah, take it away. You're muted, Toby. You're still muted.
How about
There
now?
you go. You're good.
Okay. Share screen. I guess it's this one.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know where I'm. It's okay. This is the last picture. I'll just go backwards. This is the bottom of. This is the piece that I'm entering in the train station display.
Perfect.
This is the bottom of it. This is dawn redwood that I dyed blue, and there's a side view of it.
That's a fabulous piece. How big is it?
This is 10 inches across, 4.5 inches high.
Very sweet. I'll send you the train station info today.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good. There's another side view. I think the grain pattern is really interesting on this piece, and the color brought out the interesting parts of it. Even.
What's your color dye sequence? What did you start with, and what happened?
I just added blue dye. That's it.
So where did the yellow come from?
That's inherent in the wood.
What kind of wood is that?
It's dawn redwood.
Wow. That is something. So the red and the brown and the yellow is just peeking through the dye.
Correct. I went over the whole piece. Yeah, the dye. It just doesn't show up in the red parts. The dye doesn't show up because it's overwhelmed with the natural color of the wood. And these lighter color areas in here, they just didn't accept the dye for some reason. No idea why.
Toby, that's got to be one of your best bowls yet. Honestly, that's a prize winner.
That's gorgeous.
That's gorgeous.
Thanks, Jim.
Where do you get the redwood from? Locally?
Yeah, my wife used to work at a school in Northumberland, and they were enlarging their parking lot. There were 4 large dawn redwood trees there, and they were about at least 4 feet in diameter at the base. So when I heard they were cutting them down, I just went up there and said, "Can I have some of that?" Well, they were saving the large parts to make slabs for tables, but the upper parts, the limbs, and these this was like, I don't know, 10, 12 inches of diameter. They didn't want those. They were just grinding them up for pulp. So I took what I could.
Yep. Well, it was well worth it.
That's something, that one.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll have to play with some more. I still have some left out in the shed. So
Really?
I'll mess with those. Let me go back there. Okay. So this is just some kind of a lidded container here. I believe the bottom is willow, the lid is elm, and the very top is walnut.
That's a
Willow
nice,
has-
I never mix woods. I always like to do it all in the same wood, but that's a really nice progression of colors you got there.
Yeah, they sort of go together, I thought. And with the darker areas in the willow here, it matches the walnut.
Out the bottom, you could have put walnut in, and then it would have really been neat when you looked at the lid.
I'll work on that next time.
You don't need to work on it. It don't happen.
It just
No,
happens.
not to you.
It doesn't happen to him.
No, it doesn't happen to you, but
What's the diameter?
Let's see, it's 7 inches across.
Thank you.
There it is with the lid off. Oh, this is the underside of the lid. This is a piece of seaside maho that my brother brought up from Key West, Florida. Just a little disc on the bottom of the inside of the lid.
oh yes, you have 4 different orders of them.
Yeah, you can't see this one from the outside, but just a little added bonus there when they open it up.
It's awesome.
That's the top, and this is the bottom of the bowl.
Okay.
All right, and then I'm gonna not stop sharing. I have some Christmas trees that I've made recently that I sell at my little store. A little hard to see. There we go. Guess you got them there. And then
Wait a minute.
some of them I
Bring them
some
back.
of them I dye.
They're dyed, and
This one,
they've got bark
this
on.
one's not dyed. Oh, I'm sorry, this one's not dyed. This is a Kentucky coffee tree. Keep it in front of me.
Okay, and then show us the one that was dyed. Okay, and that's dyed blue.
This is dyed blue. And it's kind of an oval shaped branch, so it has bark on both sides when you turn it around, which I think gives it a neat effect going up.
And how's your little store doing this year? What are you guys doing?
Well, I have 2 stores going on at the moment. There's one at the mall, and we're doing well with that. It's only open 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And
Well, you
it gets a
have to
lot
be there-
of business. People come in.
Do you have to be there and sell?
I'll be there probably 5 times total this month. Everybody that participates has to, have a day or so in the store.
So how many people are participating, and what do the others make?
There's 10 of us all together. We have 1, 2, 3 potters. We have 3 jewelers. We have a fracture woman. We have a fiber woman. Myself. My wife does press flower pictures or 2D pictures.
So you're the only wood turner in this bunch.
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know that we could support 2 wood turners. It's kind of a niche area.
And so what's your other store?
The other store is in Lewisburg, and that's a co-op also. And we have 15 participants there, and we share that. I do once a month that I staff the store there. And we were doing real well there. We've so far, since we opened in April, we've sold a total of $30,000 worth of art. So we think that's doing well.
What's the rent?
The rent is $900 a month, which is very inexpensive.
Okay. Very interesting. Yeah. Any other questions? You got more stuff to show?
Yeah, I have one more tree. This is the largest one I've done so far. I have to turn it sideways maybe to get it on there. And it's 16 inches tall and 8 inches in diameter. It's his walnut.
Okay. And is that for sale?
Yeah, this one, I just made it, so I didn't put it in the store yet. So this one's going to be, I think I'm going to put about $150 on this one because it's just so unusual, and it's going to take the right person to buy it. But that's all right. If they don't buy it, it'll sit around and be like an advertisement.
So you're still selling the small ones at $5 an inch or $10 an inch?
$5 an inch, yeah.
$5 an inch. Okay. Well, a question from the audience. Let's get the mic back. We've got to learn how to do this. Yeah.
What kind of finish are you using on them? The natural finish.
And now it's just spray Krylon triple thick, not Krylon,
That's what he uses.
however it is, triple thick coating. Maybe it is Krylon.
I think it was Krylon you were using before. I remember
Yeah, I
asking.
believe that's what it is. Yeah,
Yeah. And it's a lacquer, a spray-on lacquer.
it's an acrylic spray. Yeah.
Acrylic, okay.
When you say triple, does that mean 3 coats or?
No,
is that
that's the name of the
brand?
product. Triple thick coating. Krylon
So you-
triple thick glaze, I think it's called.
And then you just spray it once?
No, I spray it. It depends on the wood. These Kentucky coffee trees, they take about 2 coats before it's good. This one, which is a conifer tree from my neighbor, it took about 6 coats before it'll absorb in, and it doesn't give a nice shiny finish. So you have to let it dry, put another coat on. But you know, it doesn't take long just to give it a spray.
So you find the shiny finish is the key, eh? They don't buy it if it doesn't have a shiny finish.
For the most part, there's a small population that wants a natural oil finish, but most people want the glossy. Yeah.
Yeah, more of the fools.
Yeah.
Okay, let me get the spotlights off, everybody. Yeah, do you sand in between coats?
No sanding.
Okay. We're up to the hour here. It's been a tumultuous kind of hour here. Now we're going to have a huddle and analyze what went right and what went wrong as we continue to work on our setup. So thank you all for your indulgence of our experiments here today. We are going to be back next week and the week after. There's no need to take a Christmas break here since Christmas is on the weekends. So we'll see you all next week. I'll be coming to you from New York City next week. So no shop. But anyhow, thank you very much. I'm going to end the meeting now unless anybody's dying to say something.
Thanks very much. See you all next week.
Thanks, John.
Okay. Bye,
Thank
y'all.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Wood shop. Thank God for wood.